Good evening and welcome to our platforms, nrpmediaja.com, also Facebook and YouTube at NRP Media JA. It's Friday, February 2, 2024. I am Lou Ann Bramwell Shakes with the NRP Evening News Roundup. Later on, we'll have Leon Nash with sport and weather. Here are the headlines. Ministry of Health and stakeholders today launched Jamaica's early warning system on drugs. The Office of the Political Ombudsman would be strengthened by having the Electoral Commission of Jamaica, ECJ, with 9 individuals, says Justice Minister Chuck. Minister of Labour embarks on a comprehensive overhaul of the PASS program. A mechanic charged with the death of paralegal staff who was shot along Washington Boulevard on January 18. And in sport, DR Congo came from behind to beat Guinea 3-1 and book a semi-final spot at the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations. The news today is brought to you courtesy of NRP Radio, reaching you where you are. No boundaries, no limitations.
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is.
NRP Media and Radio.
The most listened to radio show on the planet. Even the other stations are tuned in too.
Reaching you where you are. No boundaries, no limitations.
And now the news. The Ministry of Health and Wellness, along with the local stakeholders and international partners, today launched Jamaica's early warning system on drugs, a multidisciplinary network to support public health and security efforts to address the threats of substance abuse, particularly with respect of new psychoactive substances. The launch event was hosted at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel in Kingston, comes as Caribbean nations and countries the world over contend with the onslaught of a rapidly changing drug market. The new psychoactive substances such as Molly, ecstasy, and psilocybin mushrooms have become a global phenomenon, with more than 100 countries and territories from all regions reporting the presence of one or more such substances in their population. Dunstan Bryan, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health and Wellness, addressing the launch, said the launch represents a significant push to formalize drug policy and frameworks needed to combat the public health and social harms associated with illicit drug use. He said it is the ministry's aim to adequately support efforts to deliver early warnings on changes in the changing drug problem and developing rapid, effective responses while minimizing risks as a ministry team look to secure the health of the nation and those most at risk. Meanwhile, State Minister in the Ministry of National Security, the Honorable Juliet Cuthbert Flynn, said, through this new early warning system, agencies will be better able to monitor and respond to the drug challenge. She said the early warning system will give the ministry, along with other stakeholders, the capacity to deliver alerts on changes in the drug situation and develop rapid, effective responses. In total, 15 organizations, predominantly from public health and national security, form the multidisciplinary interagency network. Justice Minister Delroy Chuck says the work of the Office of the Political Ombudsman would be strengthened by having the Electoral Commission of the Jamaica, that's the ECJ, with 9 individuals drawn from different segments of the society so engaged, versus the retention of a single person in that office. According to the minister, this approach will allow for more than a fulsome examination of the matters brought to the Office of the Political Ombudsman, as matters will be scrutinized through the individual and collective lenses of the members of the ECJ, who are required to exercise fairness and who are bound by the Electoral Commission Interim Act to perform their functions with specified parameters. The minister also remarked that it is also anticipated that this amalgamation of functions will result in institutional and financial gains to the office of the political ombudsman. The unanimous report of Parliament detailing the assumption of the responsibilities of the office of the political ombudsman by the ECJ was submitted to Cabinet by the Ministry of Justice and was approved by the Cabinet. Since then, the Ministry of Justice has been in contact with the commissioners of the ECJ, who are in agreement with the assumption of these responsibilities as proposed. Minister Chuck made the remarks while piloting the bill, which seeks to amend the Political Ombudsman Interim Act and consequentially amend the Electoral Commission Interim Act in the House of Representatives recently. He further noted that enforcement of the recommendations of the political ombudsman becomes easier as there is greater persuasive power by having representatives from the two main political parties, which will, in turn, give the recommendation of the ECJ greater legitimacy and greater likelihood of compliance. Justice Minister Chuck also pointed out that the work of the political ombudsman usually reaches its zenith in the lead up to elections, whether local government or general. He said that it is therefore imperative that the political candidates sign the political code of conduct at the earliest opportunity after nomination day on February 8. The government, through the Ministry of Labour and Social Security, has embarked on a comprehensive overhaul of the Programme of Advancement through Health and Education, PATH, to enhance support for vulnerable individuals and families. The Minister of Labour and Social Security, Pernell Charles Jr., provided details at the first in a series of public PATH town hall meetings at the Wesley Methodist Church Hall in Brownstown, St. Anne earlier this week. He highlighted the government's commitment to ensuring the programs remain responsive, effective, and progressive in addressing the evolving needs of the vulnerable population in Jamaica. As of August 2023, PATH had 285,000 beneficiaries, with 65% of them and lactating women and indigent adults and others.
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is.
NRP Media and Radio.
The most listened to radio show on the planet. Even the other stations are tuned in too.
Reaching you where you are. No boundaries, no limitations.
Continuing the news. Regarding Minister Charles speaking, he added that the overhaul of PATH will be conducted in 3 phases. Firstly, through a series of key stakeholder engagements, such as town halls, smaller meetings, question and answer sessions, and more. Subsequently, he said, there will be the formation of 2 technical working groups. The Jamaica Fire Brigade has reported a significant increase in the number of emergency calls received in 2023. Speaking at a JIS think tank yesterday at the agency's head office in Kingston, Commissioner JFB Stewart Beckford informed that firefighters responded to more than 20,000 emergency calls. He said the numbers increased in almost all areas of responses, adding that in 2023, the JFB responded to 20,152 calls, the highest call amount witnessed in the last 7 years. Commissioner Beckford said that the total number of calls received, 11,318, were genuine fire calls. 1,413 were malicious false alarms. 1,120 were motor vehicle accidents, and 3,806 emergency medical services of the total number of calls received. The commissioner further indicated that the number of genuine calls increased by 46.8% when compared to 2022, with malicious false alarm increased by 15.8% and motor vehicle accidents by 3.8%. However, emergency medical services saw a 14.1% decrease when compared to 2022. The commissioner also pointed out that bushfires, which are included in the total number of genuine fire calls, increased by a whopping 81.1%, a total call count of 6,443 when compared to the 3,518 that were received in 2022. A significant increase was also seen in cultivated farmland fires and electrical equipment fires. 30-year-old Oho Russell, otherwise called Jerry Stunts, a mechanic of Woodpecker Avenue, Kingston 11, was slapped with several charges following an incident on Washington Boulevard, Kingston 20, on Thursday, January 18. Russell was charged with the murder of 63-year-old Sandra Risden, a paralegal of Hampton Crescent, Kingston 20, and Bryant's Hill District, Clarendon. He was also charged with the assault at common law, possession of prohibited and unauthorized possession of ammunition. Reports from the Constant Spring Police are that at about 7:05 a.m., Risden was driving along the roadway when Russell and another man drove up on a motorcycle and opened gunfire, killing her. An off-duty officer pursued the hitman when Russell pointed the firearm at him before escaping in the area. Russell was later arrested and subsequently charged after he was pointed out as the man who shot the now deceased. He is scheduled to appear before the Kingston and St. Andrew Parish Court on Tuesday, February 13. Several charges have been laid against 21-year-old Kevin Brown, otherwise called Bam Bam, or Bama T, of Trinidad Road, Kingston 11, regarding the murder of a man on Unity Lane, Kingston 11 on Saturday, December 23, 2023. He's been charged with murder, conspiracy to murder, possession of a prohibited weapon, unauthorized possession of ammunition, and using of a prohibited weapon to commit a felony in relation to the death of 37-year-old Okino James, otherwise called Kino or Brown, man of Golden Avenue, Kingston. Reports are that at about 11:30 p.m., Brown, who was armed with a firearm, was traveling on foot in the company of another man. They approached Brown and opened gunfire, hitting him multiple times to his upper body and head. Residents heard the explosion and summoned the police. On arrival, James was assisted to the hospital, where he was pronounced dead on arrival. A search of the now deceased pockets revealed one Glock pistol magazine containing 2 9mm rounds. Brown was apprehended during a police operation and was subsequently charged following a question and answer session on Thursday, Friday, 2. That's February 1. Finally, 31-year-old Alex Tomlinson, a laborer of Santa Hill, Spalding, Clarendon, was charged with murder following an incident in his community on Tuesday, January 30. Tomlinson was charged with the murder of 66-year-old Marshall King, otherwise called Booby. Reports from the Mandeville police are that at about 7:05 a.m., Tomlinson, armed with a shovel, and King, armed with a knife, had an altercation. It is alleged that Tomlinson used the shovel to hit King several times before taking the knife and inflicting stab wounds to his upper body, killing him. Tomlinson was later arrested and charged. He's scheduled to appear in the Manchester Parish Court on Wednesday, February 7. You are listening to news on NRP Radio, your primary Christian source for news, sports, and the weather on nrpmediaja.com, reaching you where you are, no boundaries, and absolutely no limitations.
This is the National Religious Partnership NRP Media, the managing company or owners and operators of NRP Radio. NRP Media is primarily a religious-based organization which gives direction to all of its offshoots and operates under the mantra, reaching you where you are, no boundaries, no limitations.
And now let's give you some sporting information brought to you by Hepburn's Glass, located at 13 Chisholm Avenue in Kingston, Jamaica.
Hepburn's Glass Supplies is the latest trend-setting supplier of glass and mirrors in the industry. We specialize in tinted and clear glasses, as well as mirrors for all your windows, doors, and closets at very competitive prices. To maximize your shopping experience, we stock 316 and 1/8 mirror thickness and 316 and quarter thickness in our entire stock of float glasses. We have in stock gloves, cutters, and suction cups at unbeatable prices. Our customer service is second to none, with same-day cutting for your specific measurements. Visit our office at 13 Chisholm Avenue, Kingston 13. Call us at 9080962 or email hepburn.glass@gmail.com. Hepburn's Glass, quality service is our priority.
And now for our sports stories with Leon Nash.
Good evening and welcome to the Sportscast right here inside the NRP Evening Newscast. We kick off on women's cricket. Ireland made it 4 wins from 4 in their T20 series against Zimbabwe by securing a 9-wicket win in a rain-delayed match in Harare on Thursday. The match was curtailed to 8 overs per side, but when play got underway 2.5 hours later than planned, the hosts made 65 for 5 in their innings. Ireland reached 70 for 1 with 1 ball remaining in their reply. Orla Prendergast hit a 6 off of the penultimate ball to secure victory and top score for her side with 27 not out. On football, DR Congo came from behind to beat Guinea 3-1 and book a semi-final spot at the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations. Mohamed Bayo put Guinea ahead with a 20th minute penalty after the forward was fouled by Chancel Mememba, who then fired in from a narrow angle at the other end to equalize 7 minutes later. DR Congo had a penalty of their own in their second half when Julian Jeanvier clipped the legs of Silas and Brentford forward Yohan Wissy converted to give the Leopards the lead with 25 minutes left. The West African had little in response after going behind, and the result was sealed when Arthur Masuka's free kick from wide on the left caught out Guinea goalkeeper Ibrahim Kone at his near post. DR Congo will face the winners of Saturday's quarterfinal between Mali and host Ivory Coast at 1700 GMT in the last 4 on Wednesday. Finally, Leeds United move up to second in the championship as they continued their fine form in 2024 with a victory at Bristol City. Wilfred Ginanto broke the deadlock early in the second half, firing in from just inside the box with only his second goal of the season and on his first league start since 29 of December. Bristol City goalkeeper Max O'Leary made a number of key saves in the first half to keep his side in the game, including denying Giorgino Rota from a few yards out. Glenn Kamara came closest to doubling the total for Leeds minutes after Giananto's goal, but saw his shot trickle wide. Leeds keeper Ilan Meslier, by comparison, had little to do all night as out-of-form Bristol City winless league run stretched to 6 games, while Danielle Fark's side have won 5 in a row. That's sports in our NRP Evening News Roundup, brought to you by Hepburn's Glass. They're located at 13 Chisholm Avenue in Kingston. Leon Nash reporting.
Thank you, Leon. That's sports in our NRP Evening News Roundup. We promise to bring you a good news story as often as we can. If you know of or are aware of any event or person whose good story we should highlight, please send this information to our email address at National Religious Media JA or call or WhatsApp 876 336 9928. That's the local news and sport. Stand by now for the latest international news, courtesy of the Voice of America. But just before we take that, just to let you know that we're coming up to our news hour of 7 o'clock right now. So let's have it. Let's wait. We have a couple seconds to go before we hit that time signal. You're listening to News on NRP Radio, inviting you to join us on nrpmediaja.com, or you can email us at nationalreligiousmediaja@gmail.com. You can always call the WhatsApp 876-336-9928. It's always a pleasure to hear from you. It's always a pleasure for you to hit that notification bell and tell us what you think. The local time is now.
Psalm 37 verse 8 says, don't
Let's
get
take you now
angry.
to the
Don't be upset.
Voice
It
of America
only
Newscast.
leads to trouble. This is NRP Media and Radio. The time is 7
We'll now
o'clock.
have the international news, courtesy of the Voice of America.
This is VOA News. I'm Alexis Strope. The U.S. has confirmed it carried out strikes in Iraq and Syria, according to a statement posted on X, formerly known as Twitter, from U.S. Central Command. The statement says, quote, U.S. Central Command forces conducted airstrikes in Iraq and Syria against Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps, Quds forces, and affiliated militia groups. U.S. military forces struck more than 85 targets with numerous aircraft, to include long-range bombers flown from the United States. The airstrikes employed more than 125 precision munitions. The facilities that were struck included command and control operations centers, intelligence centers, rockets and missiles, and unmanned aerial vehicle storages, and logistics and munition supply chain facilities of militia groups and their IRGC sponsors who facilitated attacks against U.S. and coalition forces. A fire caused by a gas explosion late Thursday evening in Kenya's capital, Nairobi, killed at least 3 people and injured more than 280. VOA's Nairobi bureau chief, Mariama Diallo, reports.
Government spokesperson Isaac Maura said on the social media platform X, formerly known as Twitter, that the explosion happened at the Mradi area in Nairobi's Embakasi neighborhood. One truck that was loaded with gas exploded, igniting a huge ball of fire that spread widely. He said the inferno damaged several vehicles and commercial properties. Neighborhood houses also caught fire, with a number of residents inside, given it was late at night. The scene has been secured and a command center is now in place to help coordinate rescue operations and other intervention efforts, he said. Mariama Diallo, VOA News, Nairobi.
For pictures, videos, stories, and more, follow the Voice of America on X, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And for additional stories 24 hours a day, visit voanews.com. This is VOA News.
That was the latest international news from the Voice of America. Now for the weather report and forecast with Leon Nash right after this thing.
Inside of the weather report and forecast for this evening, the National Met Service is reporting that there is a significant feature of a trough across Jamaica. The trough is expected to remain across the island through to Sunday afternoon. Thereafter, a prefrontal trough and a low-level jet stream are expected to move into the vicinity of the island. In the 24-hour forecast, tonight and tomorrow, partly cloudy to mostly cloudy. 3-day forecast after tomorrow, Sunday, partly cloudy in the morning, becoming cloudy and windy in the afternoon, especially across western parishes. On Monday, expect cloudy and windy conditions. Expect periods of showers and isolated thunderstorms across the island. It will also be cool. On Tuesday, it will be cloudy, windy, and cool. Other current regional weather features at this time: ridge across the Gulf of Mexico, a stationary front across the northeastern Caribbean. Minimum temperatures expected for Kingston tonight, 23 degrees Celsius. Minimum temperature expected for Montego Bay tonight, 21 degrees Celsius. That is the latest weather report and forecast in the NRP Evening News Roundup.
Thank you for that, Leon. At least we are well prepared for the weekend weather. With that, we've come to the end of our news presentation this evening. But before we go, here are the headlines once again. Ministry of Health and stakeholders today launched Jamaica's early warning system on drugs. The Office of the Political Ombudsman would be strengthened by having the Electoral Commission of Jamaica, the ECJ, with 9 individuals, says Justice Minister Chuck. Ministry of Labour embarks on a comprehensive overhaul of the PASS program. A mechanic charged with the death of paralegal staff who was shot along Washington Boulevard on January 18. And in sport, DR Congo came from behind to beat Guinea 3-1 and book a semi-final spot at the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations. The full half-an-hour package of news this evening came to you courtesy of NRP Radio, reaching you where you are. No boundaries, no limitations.
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is.
NRP Media and Radio.
The most listened to radio show on the planet. Even the other stations are tuned in too.
Reaching you where you are. No boundaries, no limitations.
Here is your invitation to join us again Monday morning at 6:30 for the NRP Break of Day Newscast. On behalf of the entire news and production teams, I am Lou Ann Bramwell Shakes for the NRP Evening News. We encourage you to join this growing medium. Feel fulfilled and informed. Have a good rest of your evening, reminding you too that if you walk, ride, or drive, make every effort to arrive alive. Have a good weekend.
Clap your hands, everybody. Come on.